Robert is 72. He worked at a steel fabrication plant in Pittsburgh for 31 years, from 1969 to 2000. He never managed an investment portfolio. He never picked a mutual fund. He never worried about whether the market was up or down in the year he retired. Every month, without fail, he receives a check for $2,340. It will arrive until he dies. He cannot outlive it. His employer absorbed every dollar of market risk. Robert did not choose this system. He was born into it. Sandra is 54. She has worked as a billing coordinator at a hospital in Columbus, Ohio since 1993. 31 years. The same as Robert. She has a 401k. Her employer matches 3% of her salary. She earns $51,000 a year. Her total retirement balance today is $47,000. If Sandra contributes at her current rate until she retires at 67, and the market performs at its historical average, she will have approximately $98,000 saved. At a 4% annual withdrawal rate, the standard planning benchmark, that is $326 per month. Robert, $2,340 per month, guaranteed, for life. Sandra, $326 per month if the market cooperates. Same number of years worked, completely different systems. Here is the question this video asks. Who decided Sandra would get the 401k instead of the pension? When did they decide it? And what did they personally have to lose when they made that call? The answer begins with a single line in the United States Tax Code, Section 401, subsection K. It was written into the Revenue Act of 1978, not to create a retirement system for American workers, but to resolve a narrow tax dispute between the IRS and a group of employers who were offering cash-deferred profit-sharing plans to their executives. The clause was designed in part to limit those arrangements. It was not a vision for how 100 million workers would fund their retirement. It was a footnote. In 1980, a benefits consultant in Pennsylvania named Ted Benna read that footnote. He realized it could be used differently, that employers could create accounts allowing all employees, not just executives, to defer wages before taxes. He proposed the first 401k plan. The IRS approved it in 1981. Ted Benna is now 81 years old. In 2016, he called what he created a monster. His exact words, "I helped open the door for Wall Street to make even more money than they were already making." Here's what happened next. In 1980, 38% of private sector workers in America had a defined benefit pension, a guaranteed, employer-funded retirement income, structured like Robert's. By 2024, that number had fallen to 15%. The people who made that shift, the corporate executives who replaced pension obligations with 401k plans through the 1980s and 1990s, were in their 40s and 50s when they made the decision. Their own pensions were already earned, vested, untouchable. The switch did not affect them. It only affected the workers hired after the change. What companies gained was enormous. A defined benefit pension is a liability on a corporate balance sheet, a promise to pay money indefinitely into the future. A 401k is not. The moment a company switches, that liability disappears. The worker now owns the account. The worker now owns the risk. What Wall Street gained was even larger. Today, 401k plans hold $8.9 trillion in assets. The financial industry collects fees on every dollar of it, every year. Gerald Facciani, a former head of the American Society of Pension Actuaries, said this: "The great lie is that the 401k was capable of replacing the old system of pensions. It was oversold." It wasn't oversold accidentally. Roberts' defined benefit pension works like this. His employer, the steel company, made contributions into a pooled fund over Roberts' entire career. A professional manager invested that money. The company guaranteed the outcome. If the market collapsed in 1987, Roberts' future benefit did not change. If interest rates fell in 2009, Roberts' check did not shrink. The risk lived on the company's balance sheet, not Roberts'. Robert has now received his pension for 13 years. Monthly income from pension, plus Social Security, $4,190. His mortgage closed in 2003. He has $88,000 in personal savings. By any standard measure, Robert is financially stable. Not wealthy, stable. The system performed as designed. Sandra's 401k works like this. She contributes. Her employer matches a portion. The money sits in mutual funds she selected from a menu of 12 options in 2004 and has not meaningfully reviewed since. The market is responsible for the growth. She is responsible for the decisions. When the market dropped 38% in 2008, her balance dropped with it. It recovered, slowly. But the years of compounding she lost in that window do not come back. Sandra's $47,000 today is not nothing, but it is the entire financial buffer between her and poverty in retirement. Here is the number that defines the 401k era. According to the Economic Policy Institute, the bottom 60% of working-age Americans hold 8% of all retirement savings. The top 20% hold 79%. The median 401k balance in the United States right now is $38,176. The average is $148,153. The gap between those two numbers is not a rounding error. It is a map of who the system actually works for. Among workers between 55 and 64, the people within 10 years of retirement, 1 in 5 in the bottom income quintile participates in any retirement plan at all. In the top quintile, 4 in 5. Sandra is not an outlier. Sandra is the median. So why does this feel like a personal problem instead of a structural one? 3 mechanisms. First, the language of ownership. A pension is a promise. A 401k is your account. That linguistic shift is not accidental. When workers hear your account, they internalize the outcome as a reflection of their choices. When the balance is small, it feels like a personal failure, not the consequence of a system that transferred risk downward while concentrating reward upward. The same dynamic we saw with the Social Security payroll cap. Invisible design, visible individual consequence. Second, the illusion of control. When you pick funds in a 401k, it feels like agency. But the options are pre-selected by your employer. The fees are embedded and mostly invisible. The matching formula, the vesting schedule, the contribution limits. All of these are decided by someone else. What you have is the appearance of control over the part that matters least. Which fund, among a limited menu, you put your money in. Third, the timing of the switch. The executives who dismantled pension systems in the 1980s were collecting pension checks by the time anyone could measure the damage. The workers who would bear the consequences, Sandra's generation, were in their 20s. The full effect of the shift takes 40 years to become visible. By then, the decision makers are gone, and the workers are told that the outcome is their responsibility. This is not Sandra's failure of planning. This is the accumulated result of a decision made in corporate boardrooms between 1983 and 1995. Quietly, legally, and almost entirely without public debate. 3 concrete steps. Step 1. This week, log into your 401k account and find 2 numbers, your current balance and your employer's vesting schedule. Vesting means the portion of your employer's match you actually own if you leave tomorrow. Many plans vest over 3 to 6 years. If you leave before full vesting, you forfeit a portion of those contributions. This is money workers routinely leave behind, not because of bad decisions, but because no one explains how vesting works when they sign the paperwork. Step 2. Medium term. If your employer offers any match you are not currently capturing it is the single highest return action available to you. Research from Vanguard's 2024 How America Saves report found that workers who capture their full employer match accumulate 67% more in retirement assets by age 65 than those who do not. Even if you can only raise your contribution by 1% now, that 1% compounds for decades. If you have no employer plan, no 401k, no match, a Roth IRA allows $7,000 in contributions per year for 2024, with no income requirement below $146,000. It can be opened at any major brokerage with no minimum balance. Step 3. Structural awareness. The 401k contribution limit for 2024 is $23,000. The median American worker earns $59,000 a year. To max out a 401k on a median income, you would need to contribute 39% of your gross salary. That number is not a planning guideline. It is evidence of a system designed around incomes that most workers do not have. Legislation to reform the 401k system, automatic enrollment, expanded access for part-time workers, portable retirement accounts, appears in Congress regularly. It moves slowly. Tracking it is straightforward. Search Secure Act 3.0 or Retirement Savings for Americans Act at congress.gov and see where your representative stands. Robert did not earn more than Sandra. He did not save more than Sandra. He did not make smarter decisions. He retired 14 years before the switch happened in his industry. That is the entire difference. Sandra has worked 31 years. She has contributed every paycheck. She has done what the system told her to do. And the system told her to do something that was never designed to be enough. The 401k was a footnote in a tax bill. It became the retirement system for 70 million Americans, not because anyone decided it should, but because it was cheaper for corporations and more profitable for Wall Street. That is not a market outcome. That is a design choice. And it was made by people who were never going to live with the consequences. If this gave you one number you didn't have before, subscribe. Next video: how the college debt system was built, who it was built for, and the single year everything changed. Subscribe and turn on notifications. See you in the next one.